Hello everyone, I am Professor Nikhil Verma and we are going to continue where we left off in the previous video in regards to retail management. In the previous video we studied the unorganized sector. So today we are going to focus on organized retailing. Organized retailing picked up very recently in India and it is growing leaps and bounces. All this is happening majorly because of the socio-economic developments that have happened in India. The standard of living of the society has increased drastically, and which has led to the growth of organized retailing in India. The modern retail structure is mainly characterized by malls, chain shops, departmental stores, hypermarkets, supermarkets, online retailing, and other such structures. Organized retailing refers to the trading activities undertaken by retailers in a professional way. That is, they have a standard operating procedure for each and every aspect in the business. And they follow those standard operating procedures to set up a particular culture in their work environment, which is mainly followed by legal method of doing business and by by taking all the appropriate licenses that they need to take, and also following the labor law rules set up by the country. The main factor about organized retailing is that these retailers are united, they're very organized, they have their own association which will influence to get their work done from the center, in terms of setting up policies that will favor to them. Looking at certain characteristics of organized retailing, the first characteristic that is mentioned here is they deliver goods and services on time and at convenient place. Now, don't get confused by delivers goods to delivering goods to the doorstep. No, they don't do that. They might be doing it, but not all of them. And this is not what it depicts. It doesn't tell you that they do home delivery. What it means is they provide the goods and services on timely basis and at a convenient place, which means that they are set up strategically in such a way that it becomes convenient to the masses. They set up their business in such a way that people from majority of the people from the city should be able to visit their place and shop from them. That is what we mean by convenient place. And since they keep goods in large quantities, they keep them stocked, and since they have an inventory management, they are usually never out of stock. And that is why we use this terminology or this characteristic where we say deliver goods and services on time and at convenient place. What happens is unorganized retailing is, it is not necessary that they might have an inventory management tool. They might be using some traditional methods of keeping a track of their inventory, or most of them rather, do not even keep track of their inventory. They just place an order when they feel that the stock is about to end, or after the stock when the goods are out of stock, that is when they realize that they need to refill. So certain times you might not get certain products at certain unorganized retailing outlets, but there is a very high probability of finding the goods always in stock when it comes to organized retailing. Sorry. The next characteristic that we have is provides not only goods but also services. What kind of services? They provide variety of services, guys. One of the service that they provide is, let's take example of DMart. What services DMart providing? As soon as you enter, they will give you a cart. Is that facility available at unorganized retailing? No. At unorganized retail outlets, you have to have your own baggage to take what you want, or you have to request the seller to give you what you want. However, here the stock the arrangement of shop is in such a way that you don't have to ask them to give you something. You just have to ask them where it is, and they are going to show you where it is, and you can just go and grab it and put it in the cart. That is one of the service. The other services that they provide is they accept various cashless means of making payments. They accept cards, they accept phone pay, Google Pay, or UPI. I mean, some of the organized retailers also accept payments through wallets, and cash is definitely there. Apart from cash, they provide variety of avenues to make the payment. However, this might not be the case when we talk about unorganized retailing. Not these days. These days, most of them have procured the services of UPI payments. That is, it doesn't matter if it's a small retailer or a giant retail outlet. They might accept UPI payments. There is a very high probability, but before this pandemic, this was definitely a huge difference in unorganized and organized retailing. There are various other services. Take a look at Big Bazaar. There was Belgaum 1. I am not sure if it is there now or no, but there was a time when Belgaum 1 was set up in Big Bazaar. So that was another service that they were providing. Like, if you want to make utility bill payments, when you go to shop, you can make the bill payments there itself. I am really not sure if it is there because I haven't visited Big Bazaar these days. It's been quite some time that I visited Big Bazaar, so not sure about it. But it was certainly there some years back. I can give a few more examples, but when you visit these organized retail outlets, they definitely provide you multiple services. So they don't focus only on selling the goods, they focus on giving you a better experience. So people usually go to these organized retailers to have that better experience of shopping rather than focusing only on goods. The next characteristic is definitely the most important of them all, that is market research. When you visit organized retail outlets, they keep a track of your shopping habits, be it e-tailers or be it offline organized retailers. They are going to analyze what is your behavior. They study consumer behaviors, and on the basis of consumer behaviors, they set up their marketing strategy, which will make their marketing plan productive. That is, it will make their marketing plan work. Like, in Belgaum, let us take a retail chain that is a pan-India. Let's say it exists in nook and corner of India, and they have stores all over. They have a geographical stretch in India, and many cities. They exist in many cities, and that is why they are able to compare as to in what city, what type of shopping behavior do you see. Let's take example of Big Bazaar. Big Bazaar has their own fashion outlet. Big Bazaar is now focusing on clothing more than anything else. So these Big Bazaar fashion outlets that are there, that is big. I'm talking about the normal Big Bazaar. So they have these cities bifurcated in terms of tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, suburban cities, and all that. Depending on the shopping behavior of those cities, they plan what type of brands, ranging in what amount categories the stock should be kept. Let us say Belgaum. When you compare Belgaum Big Bazaar with Hubli Big Bazaar, you will see better brands being shipped to Belgaum Big Bazaar. The reason being, these days the Belgaum crowd has become more brand conscious and goes for better quality products when you compare them with the nearby tier 2 cities. And these are all facts. All right. If you search, if you visit Big Bazaar and try to ask them what type of brands are procured here in Belgaum, and you visit Hubli and then you ask them what type of brands are procured here, you will definitely see a difference. Similarly, let's talk about DMart. If you visit DMart, you will see a difference between the DMart that is there in Belgaum, and when you compare it to the DMart in Kolhapur, you will certainly see a bit of difference. You might also find difference in the two DMarts that are there in Belgaum itself. Apart from that, talking about furthermore brands which are set up in urban areas, and whereas you compare them with suburban areas, you will see the offerings, the product offerings or the service offerings that they give are very different. Depending on what type of customers they get, they set up or they make future plans, and their marketing activities also are aligned with how the customers behave and how on what basis do they shop. So one thing that comes along with organized retailing is a good quality market research which enhances the marketing productivity of businesses. Next is provides various services to customers. I've already discussed this with the second point, so I'll just move on. Increases job opportunities, definitely, right? Do we have to even talk about how they provide better job opportunities? I can again take examples of local organized retail outlets that are there in Belgium, or we can talk about even Amazon's, Flipkarts, and Snapdeals, and Mintras and Jabongs for a change, because of because of Flipkarts, Jabong, Mintra, then Food Panda, then Swiggy and Zomato and all these brands. What do you see? What kinds of jobs have come up of late? Variety of job openings come up. They need delivery boys, and that to huge quantity. In huge quantity, I mean. Swiggy itself has around 20-25 delivery boys located, allotted for Belgium as for Belgavi city. So you can imagine what kind of job opportunities have come up because of introduction of these or modern organized retail outlets. I gave you an example about Swiggy. Similarly, Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Jabong also have done the same. Zomato also has done the same. Talking about brick and mortar retail, organized retail outlets like DMart, Big Bazaar, Megamart, Unlimited, Megamart now Unlimited, and Pantaloons and all these things. You might see that they have a lot of job openings for various posts. Since they are organized retailers, they have standard operating procedures set. For each and every operating procedure that they have, they need to hire people to work, right? So with the help of that, you get more job opportunities, and it certainly increases the GDP. It increases the GDP because they make goods available conveniently. People, when they find that goods are available conveniently, you end up shopping more than what you want to shop. And since you shop more than what you want, what you needed and what you wanted, you end up consuming more. When you consume more, they are able to produce more. Since they are able to produce more within the country, the GDP increases. You yourself imagine that again I'm taking the example of DMart. Please don't get bored that we're taking same examples. We don't have a lot of options in Belgium that I can take a new name every now and then. I can certainly take a few more names, but I'm taking the name of DMart because you'll be able to connect with it, and I am certain that mass audiences, majority of the students might have visited either Big Bazaar or DMart, and that is why I take these examples. So let us take example of DMart. Let's say you go with your mother for your monthly grocery needs. If you would have gone to a local store, you would have bought only those things that you needed. Let's say the bill would be around 2000 rupees. Let's just assume. If you visit DMart, when you shop through things, you might look at certain FMCGs. So let us say, let us take example of Maggi. You wouldn't have taken Maggi if you would have visited the normal routine store around your street at your convenience. But here, since you have seen it, you might feel like buying it. Somebody else might feel like buying something else. Somebody might feel like buying mayonnaise sauce. Somebody might feel like buying a water bottle. If you would have visited a normal store, a convenience store nearby your house, you wouldn't have had that option of buying a bottle. That is water bottle. But since you visited here and you've seen a very good looking water bottle, you have got attracted and now you want to spend. And since it ranges from 40 to 200, 300, you might feel spending 40 is not a big deal, or spending 100 is not a big deal, and you might end up spending more. So since you end up spending more than what you need, I just took a few examples, all right, guys. You never know what you had meant to buy and what you ended up buying. Anybody can buy anything extra that was not needed. So I can't give you specific examples that you might buy this extra, that extra. But when you visit these stores, you end up buying more than what you need. And since you end up buying more, you end up consuming more. Since you end up consuming more, the production increases, and since the production increases, it increases the GDP. So what are the advantages of organized retailing? Definitely, it will increase your standard of living. Um, Take example, if you would visit a normal convenience store nearby your house, you wouldn't think about dressing up well and going there. You would just go in the clothes that you have worn right now to feel convenient, and you would feel burdened if you had to change up and then go and buy things. But if you're visiting these organized retail outlets, you would want to carry yourself really well when you go there. So since you want to carry yourself well, another example I'm talking about, okay, that doesn't mean that only this means that this is how they increase your standard of living. This is one of the examples how they increase your standard of living. So since you want to look well, feel well, carry yourself well when you visit these stores, you automatically have increased your standard of living. This is one example. Okay, there are variety of other examples how you would end up increasing your standard of living. Next is better employment opportunities. Already discussed in the previous slide, so I'll just move on. Better use of scarce resources. Um, the resources that are scarcely available are better utilized because of organized retailing, um, mainly because they are able to procure in large quantities. Okay, a person who's operating a convenience store who wouldn't be able to procure things unless and until you can procure in large quantities, you cannot really afford them, or there's not much profit in those resources. So organized retailing helps them in making better use of scarce resources. Under organized retailing, consumer is the king. Whenever you face any issues, any hurdles, you might observe that you are treated really well, and they focus more on customer service than, I mean, they focus more on pre-sale service, during sale service, and post-sale service too. Their main focus is on providing a better customer experience than focusing on offering only goods, focusing only on sales. They don't do that. They focus more on giving customers a better experience because they know the importance of customers in the modern era. And so the advantage that the customers get is that they are treated like kings here. Support to changing lifestyle culture. Obviously, they are the pioneers of bringing in change in the lifestyle because they focus more on getting more modern products and services as offerings to the customers. Better use of technology, definitely. Um, they use a modern ERP which suits their style. They get an ERP developed. ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning, a software which helps them keep the track of their inventory, making payments to their employees, that is salary payments to the employees. It takes care of the accounting. Everything is done technically. Plus, you will see better use of other technological products like web, not web, sorry, security cameras and stuff like that. Better price for farmers. See, this is one good advantage of organized retailing. They get rid of middlemen, and these organized retailers can tie up directly with the farmers. If when we talk about groceries, they can directly have a tie up with the farmers and procure goods at a better price, because what they would have paid those middlemen, they might end up paying a share of that to the farmers, and farmers will be happy that they are getting a better price for their produce. Boost to exports, certainly. And last is increases government income. See, organized retailing, under organized retailing, you end up paying taxes. You can't evade taxes, and hence, since you cannot evade taxes and you end up paying taxes when you procure or when you purchase from organized retailer, it increases the income to the government. On the basis of whatever we have studied now, we can conclude saying that these are the differences between organized and unorganized retailing. Location and size. Organized retailers are normally located in busy areas and marketplaces and of large in size. Unorganized retailing, these retail outlets are located near the residence of customers. They are very small in size. Ownership and management, organized retailing or organized retail outlets are professionally managed and owned by corporates, whereas unorganized retailers, these retail outlets are majorly owned by families and they are also managed by them. Sorry. Legal compliance, organized retailers definitely follow all the legal compliances, get all the licenses, they pay tax, they also follow labor laws and other laws. They do take care of all the formalities that they need to take care. However, in unorganized retailing, we can't guarantee it. There are no legal formalities, no taxes paid. Laws might be adhered or might not be adhered, you never know. Capital and technology, huge capital investment required for retail outlet, because the major capital investment goes into procuring the land and building itself. And since they are using updated technology, a lot of investment goes into procuring those technologies according to their requirement. Unorganized retailing, whereas needs limited capital and technology, they don't make use of technology at the first place. Even if they make use of it, a very minimalistic usage of technology, and capital also that is required will be less. Nature of customers, organized retailers will have middle class and upwards, whereas unorganized retailers, anybody, any class, local people, localites, definitely, from be it poor, middle, lower middle, upper middle, middle, and the cream of the society. All of those might be their customers depending on the requirements of the customer during that moment of time. Facilities provided. Organized retailers provide variety of facilities. We can just keep on going with the examples of varieties that they provide. Whereas unorganized retailers, they might provide limited facilities which organized retailers do not provide, such as credit facility, home delivery, market advice, etc. The major difference when it comes to facilities provided is that the facilities that are not provided by unorganized retailers are provided by organized retailers, and the facilities that are not provided by organized retailers are provided by unorganized retailers. Showcases and window display. You might find attractive displaying of merchandising in organized retailing, whereas you will not find the same in unorganized retail. So with this, we come to the end of this session of video. In the next video, we are going to look at traditional retail formats. Thank you, guys.